Seats and moving, jump on the DLP. Seats and moving, yeah, we push the bus. One DLP, moving on with us. Together as one, we can take the fight. Seats and moving, the future bright. Follow with and not your eyes on the prize. No time to waste, energy strong. We setting the pace from the block to the hill, from the coast to the town. One DLP, we can hold it down. Seats and moving, yeah, we push the bus. One DLP, moving on with us. Together as one, we can take the fight. Seats and moving, the future bright. New ideas, fresh minds, we bringing the flame. Barbados future, we changing the game. Every street, every parish, everybody see. Young them's leading, we claiming victory. Yeah, seats in the bus, seats in the hall. Together we rise, we answer the call. From east to west, let the people know. One DLP, we ready to go. Seats and moving, let we push the bus. One DLP, moving on with us. Together as one, we can take the fight. Seats and moving, the future bright. So we are not who got the energy? Who we riding? DLP bus. Future clear, Barbados strong. One DLP, we all be on. Seats and moving, let the people see. Give us on the road, full speed we be. No stopping now, we answer the call. One DLP, one family standing tall. Seats are moving, seats are moving, seats are moving. One DLP, seats are moving, seats are moving, seats are moving, seats are moving. Young them's pushing, seats are moving, seats are moving.
Good evening, DLP TV, those joining us at home and in the wider diaspora. It's so good to be amongst you again. I am your host, Damien Fanus, and we have a jam-packed session for you tonight. The topic is youth on the move. And tonight we've assembled a powerhouse panel of young people who are very, very active in youth advocacy. I want to start my opening monologue with the daunting realities facing our youth in this country. According to the International Labour Organization, youth participation in the Caribbean's labor force has declined from 39.2% in 2000 to 36.4% in 2024. Here in Barbados, some 391 teenagers between the ages of 15 and 19 have been charged with some form of criminal act. And 999 young people, that is one shy of 1,000, between the ages of 20 and 22, were also charged with some form of criminal act. We are at a crossroads regarding our young people, and it's clear that policing alone cannot fix the problem. We as a people also must take some accountability in regard to where we are now and how our youth are finding themselves in the hands of individuals who will weaponize them against society. I recently had to share my views in the defense of a video that was shared by our youth political arm, the Young Democrats. In my active defense of that video, I realized that those criticisms of that said video evolved into something more sinister. There were those individuals who got on social media and shared their comments stating how these same young people will never win a seat in Parliament. We as a people cannot say on the one hand that we are concerned for our young people and want them to find more positive avenues to keep them out of trouble, and on the other hand, tell those same young people they will never win a seat in Parliament. These two things cannot exist at the same time. We cannot tell our young people that they will never achieve, even if we do not support the political, educational, or sporting institutions that they are a part of. We need to encourage our young people regardless of their affiliations. We cannot tell our young people that they will never become the next Sir Gary Sobers, or the next Robin Rihanna Fenty, or the next Obadeli Thompson. Moreover, we should never tell them they will never achieve their dream of altruistic representation for the people as a minister or even as a prime minister because you do not support a particular political institution. So I challenge the people of this nation to pick a struggle. We are either for our youth, no matter the positive and legitimate avenue they choose, or we are not. Plain and simple. I know firsthand what it feels like to have people tell you that you will never be good enough. We are losing too many of our young people to the underground economy, and we must find ways to steer them back to the path of righteousness and productivity. Tonight, we have assembled a panel who have dedicated themselves to the service of young people and who themselves will bring solutions to our people as a government. So our panelists tonight, to my right, Shaquani Hunte, and previous president of the youth arm of the Democratic Labour Party and candidate for St. Michael West.
Good night, everyone.
To her right, Pedro Greaves, someone who's also active in youth advocacy in sports, mainly cricket. I believe so, right, Pedro? And he is also the candidate for St. James South.
Thanks, Damien. Good night, DLP. Good night, everyone.
And also to his right, a very impressive young man, Jamal Sandiford, candidate for the St. Michael Northeast constituency.
Thank you so much, Damien. Good night, everyone. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Okay, everyone. So tonight, I want to start you all off with a question. Basically, I think me and Pedro, we got to cast our minds back to when we were a bit younger, but Jamal and Shaquani, you guys are living the young, fruitful lives as it stands right now. So we got to live vicariously through you. So I just want to, ask you to draw on your experience as a youth. How is it shaped you for today's society? Start with you, Shaquani.
Youth in politics?
No, just youth in general.
Being youthful. How did it shape me? Well, what I would say is that when I was younger, I couldn't wait to be big. I don't know about anybody else. I couldn't wait to make my own money, spend my own money, buy my own clothes. I just thought being an adult was it. Until I became an adult, I was like, oh my gosh, why did I wish to be older? It's a harsh reality where you dream that being an adult would be so easy, but compared to when I was, say, 10 years ago, when I was in secondary school, that was the life. Like, I enjoyed my time at secondary school, but living as an adult, oh God, I wish I could go back. Because think about it, you were fed, you were clothed, you were given money to go to school, and if you wanted something, you would ask in advance, you would make plans, and you didn't have to worry about finding money to pay bills, finding money to buy shoes. You just enjoyed a life that your parents and your family could give you. It may not have been lavish because we weren't rich, but I didn't have to spend any money. I remember when I got my first summer job, I was so happy until I got paid. And then I asked my mother, how do you spend this money? Is for me it was a lot of money, but I realized that when you spend the first say $2 bill, the money just disappears. So I never wanted to spend my paycheck when I started to work. I always hated it. And I asked my mother, how do you spend money with it going away? Like, I couldn't imagine spending this money. Like, say I wanted to buy, I don't know, I wanted to buy shoes. Like, I was young. I loved shoes. I loved going out, and that is what I spent my money on. But my hardest reality was that as soon as you broke $100 bill, it was gone. It was like magic, and that was like 10 years ago. So imagine $100 bills now, it disappeared before you get it. So for me, as a young person, I had the ability to enjoy some of my life. This generation now, it is a little bit more difficult for them because they don't have the same luxuries that I had. I could come home to grandparents being home, a stove that never turned off. My grandmother's stove never turned off. A meal would start in the morning. She would eat. Whoever is home would eat. You would get a different kind of meal in the afternoon, and the pot you would just add to the pot. That's what she used to call it. And she had this thing about, you don't need meat, you just need the essence of it. And with that, she was able to raise a household. And when I tell you we had an extended family, like, we had a big family. So it wasn't just like 4 of us, maybe like 10 of us and neighbors. Because, back then, your neighborhood was like a neighborhood where people would come over to your house. The children would eat there until their parents got home. But unfortunately, we're in times where people don't let the children go outside because obviously it's more dangerous. Parents are working longer hours. Grandparents are still working. And sometimes you have grandparents who are just as young as me. So we're in a different society, and there's not as many opportunities for young people. Well, I was fortunate to be able to get a job with my mom's friend. Now, to get a job, you need so many requirements. Sometimes it does not even make sense going to work. I had one young person told me it was cheaper for her to stay home. You imagine that? People keep saying that young people don't want jobs. But when she calculated it, she was spending more money to get work than if she stopped home. She said she could stop home and maybe just start selling some stuff or just asking people for assistance. But she found that when she went to work, the amount of money she had to spend on bus fare. And then if she had to go to divert out to that route to drop off her child, that's additional money. So people aren't calculating that, yes, it may only be 2 buses to go work, but if she has a child, she has to collect that person. So that is a budget. That's something she now have to budget to. Remember, I started by saying my $100 bill 10 years ago, I thought it was extremely difficult to spend it because as soon as you spent money from it, it was gone. So comparing me complaining back then, I cannot imagine trying to budget all those things with limited funds and how you will survive. It is an extremely difficult task now to ask young people to do the same that I was doing then. And when I was going to school, I was getting $10 a day at secondary school. And that seemed like a lot of money back then. I was almost rich, in my opinion, because I used to save my lunch money. But I don't think parents can afford to do $10 a day now. So what are they doing? And how are they surviving sending through their children at this time? I don't know if anybody have kids that can speak to that matter. That's why I'm looking at you, Pedro. I'm looking at you. I know.
So, Pedro, your experiences when you were growing up, how was it as a young person? How did it shape you now, being the person that you are now?
One of the things I would say is that when you're younger, you don't understand a lot of things. But I was actually canvassing in my constituency. I met a man, and apparently, realizing he worked with my father. My father had, my mother, they had 5 children, 5 boys. And my mom decided she was going to, one time, she left me home with my aunt, and She came and found me outside in the yard on this standpipe, bathing, and I had a cold 2 days afterwards, just not here like time because it was just running all on my head for the whole day. So she argued with my aunt at the time, and then she was like, "No, what? No, I stay home, keep my children," because we had my brother was 3 of us year after year, so about 5 in all in afterwards. What the guy told me though was that what my father had to do to support the 5 of us would have been he had to work extra hours, sometimes with a prison officer, so he would have to actually go. He was not ready to go work court. But they would allow him to go to court so he get extra cash. Sometimes people would even call in sick so that he could actually get called out to get overtime and everything and stuff. So the reality of it is that I didn't recognize how hard my father had to work until now for us to really go to school. Now, throughout my youth, then I had persons that were there for me, mentoring me along the way. I would have played at a very young age with the Commonwealth School of Scholars. So there are a number of guys that would have held me and kept me firm if I was stepping out in any way. Then you also had principals at the school that were maternal in nature. Dorian Powell, she got into the rest in peace. She was very crucial to my development. I used to get trouble at school like any other youngster. And I remember that I was not even entered at one point for some of my CXCs because of the issues that I was given. However, because I was always involved in table tennis at school, cricket, athletics, ISDF, you name it, I was involved in it. They were like, "No, we're going to enter you because you have given to the school over the years. You're going to get some CXCs." And what I find is that sometimes we take the hands-off approach to deviant youth or persons who are not the model student, right? But sometimes that individual may just be needing that extra, assistance or that love, attention, so to speak.
Testify, Pedro, testify.
Yeah. So that is really, I thank God and obviously for persons who were there to keep me on the straight and narrow way. And that would then allow me then to this point now where I see it as paying it forward. So they did it for me, and then I'm here now doing it for other people, etc. So that's how it will shape me, and that's where I see the core word is for persons to be mentors, and we develop that as we go in the program, but to mentor our young people and don't get to the hands-off approach. You were once in that position.
Well, you, Jamal, I guess you can't draw on any. I guess me and Pedro being older, So let me ask you, your current experience being young, how is it shaping your current outlook on life right now?
I'll be very honest. The minute everybody start talking about them past, I start thinking of my past too. My past is one I believe some people share, but it's still a bit unique to me. Reason being is I come up with the belief that it takes a village to raise a child, because that is how we were when I was younger. There was a community effect that I had. You could not do anything wrong. The folks saw old lady looking through the window and said, "I can tell," and that's really shit. So there's a whole different aspect from what you guys shared. I'm willing to share. I be honest, I did not have the easiest life coming up. I wasn't seen as the smartest here in the bunch, and I come up being second and last in class, and last in class for the first few 8 to 9 years of my life. I'm not ashamed to say no because of what I've accomplished afterwards, but I was not seen as the smartest person. But this once again leads back to it takes a village to raise a child. Through people showing me that being like doing lessons and all the different things helped me to become who I am today. One of the things I wanted to share as well is that the family background really makes you who you are. You're first, this is the first 7 people that you meet kind of shape your life. My family was like that. Grand. I'm sorry, grand. My grand was just a person who's cooked and shared to everybody. At least she used to cook and share to everybody. So when you come home, or as you bring home a friend, and it's after food done, grand see you. Jamal, ask if you want something, and grand got something for you, So that community aspect also helped shape me. And then there's my father as well too. And I grew up with most of my father's family, our father to the family. They also played a critical role. My father was very hands-on. he represented Barbados at we don't say exactly where, but at high levels in cricket. And he saw my school team struggling when I was younger, and he come and coach for free. You know, he'd come and show them all the different things. I'll never forget all the different lessons they learned, all the different things they learned through having that mentorship as well. So I think like what shaped me is the experiences that I gained because of the community that I came up in. You know, and I wish that for every single community in Barbados. I think we need to be more community driven. So I would say that coming up, I live on a hill. I saw any old lady, don't matter who, any lady in fact that coming up the hill with bags from the supermarket. I was the first boy down the road to help she up because I know how hard it was. My mom would tell me to do the same thing. My brother would tell me to do the same thing. If you say don't on the sidewalk and anybody should even this year, they can call you and they can tell you to go and help you. You know, so that community aspect, that it takes a visual to tell, I came up in that. So that's how it had helped me.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent answers, ladies and gentlemen. Excellent answer. So let's focus now on youth in politics. Now, when I say youth in politics, I don't necessarily mean youth aspiring to like go out and be a candidate or go into political aspirations to be a minister or even the prime minister. That's just one part of it. But I'm talking about that active involvement where you engage in political conversations, you listen to brass tacks, maybe even call in or you even maybe exercise your vote. So my question is, right, with institutions like these youth arms, like say the Young Democrats, how important are these institutions as a voice for young people? Shaquani?
It is extremely important. When you think about who you want to represent you, it doesn't don't think about it as a politician. Think about it as a person who you want to represent you, who you want to fight for you. If you were ever injured or hurt, who you want to protect you. That is the type of thing you look for in a representative. And with that, you decide what type of person you want to be. My family was always these. And when I was younger, the person from my area was active. When I told you, like, if they had a picnic, the whole gap knew all the children had a time to assemble by Miss Saunders' house, and we were picked up from there, and then we were dropped off there at the end of the day. But my gap was honestly strong. Ladies, from the time I grew up, I knew nothing else. I didn't even know they had a different color when I was younger. I'm just being honest. We all had yellow shirts, and it was always like that in my area. But think about how I decided to join politics or become political. I remember the 2018 election. I was home watching everything on the television, watching all the ads, and I was like, oh my God, why is the party not doing this? Mind you, I wasn't a member at that time. I was just talking like if I was a member. I was like, why are they not doing this? Like, they can do this on social media and they can do this, and this is how they can get younger persons to be more interested in some of the posts that they were doing. And I remember when the notice came out, because we were watching the elections home like it was football overseas, American football. You know how everybody by the TV, that is how we were at my household. And then when we saw the numbers come and we realized we were losing, I told my family, like, we are no better than the people at home crawling with the TV. If we want change, we need to be a part of the change. And we can't just stop home and crawl with the TV and then be vexed at the results. So with that, the next day, we joined the DLP. I know it seems crazy. So many people ask me, why would you join a party that got beat 30 love? Or why would you join a party in this manner? And I told them, nothing worth having comes easy. Like, I knew it was going to be work, and I was willing to put in the work to help build out the party. In my mind, I believe that when you join a political party, you are just involved, because to be a part of the Young Democrats, you don't necessarily have to join, because we have a lot of young people that may not be of the age of membership. You'd be surprised. We had a 12-year-old who wrote us an email telling us all the reasons why they should be allowed to participate, because they saw something in us. Not politics, not policy, but they saw that we were going out there and helping people. And if we put people first every single time, that is where people would choose us. And that is how we were able to get so many young people participating in a lot of our activities. And for me, I found that when I looked at the other parties, they weren't giving what they should have been giving to me, in my opinion, as a young person, not looking for an option. Because nothing said that I had to be a DLP. My aunt might tell me leave my right shirt at the door, but I could have joined a different party. But for me, it was the principle of what they were trying to do, what they did. I remember at my primary school, we had a free breakfast program from the MP from our area. When I told you that that impacted so many young children who came to school hungry because their parents couldn't afford. And that was, I don't know, almost 10, maybe almost 15 years ago. That was a while ago. And programs like that saved children. Because those children were at school just lying down on the desk all day long, giving trouble, and some people could not understand what was the root of the problem until a parent just asked. And when the parent asked, that parent started to bring breakfast. Quickly after, a breakfast program was announced, and that was able to impact the school in a positive light. When I told you so many people were able to get breakfast from that, and on top of that, those children who needed more, they were able to take home something for dinner because their house didn't have any food. And me home crying about, oh, I don't want to eat this. But when I thought about who was fighting for me, I looked at how my community was able to survive and if they could have survived without this assistance. So I don't think about who destroyed the biggest parties, who got the best campaign songs, who got, I guess, the best artist singing. I think about who I would want to represent me or fight for me if it was on my worst day. And that is how you have to see it. Don't think about who has the prettiest flair, because they may just happen to get the best media person on that day. Think about who you want to represent you long term. If you didn't have, if they will help. And it may not be money, it may just be direction, because I will say, joining the party, you were able to get so much guidance. There was so much wisdom. When I tell you, I remember when I met Commissioner. Who would have thought? I remember meeting him. We had a member that was 103 from St. Lucie, and everywhere he went, he used to walk around with his passport. You imagine? I had no joining the party. It was like 18 or 19. Thinking about meeting a person who's 103. Still very active in politics, still very active in their beliefs, and he was standing for something. And when you think about a person that is standing for something still, why wouldn't you stand up for something too? So when I joined the DLP, I joined because I knew my voice could assist. And I didn't want to be in a party where I would be muffled, where if I say something, you could be removed. If you say something, you could be, I don't want to say disowned, but benched practically. I knew that. Well, if you knew me from secondary school, and some of you taught me, you would know I always had a voice. And just like Pedro would have said, a lot of people don't know, but yes, I was a trouble tree, if that is what you would consider me. I was at the principal's office, oh my gosh, almost every day. I had a chair in there.
You was trouble tree, Shaquani.
But not in the same sense. I always had a mouth. Like, I always had a voice, and I always advocated. I started advocating for myself. I don't know about other people, but I started with myself. Okay. And Mr. Cumberbatch would say, if Shaquani is wrong, she will admit she is wrong. If she is not wrong, I pray for you, because she's not going to admit she's wrong. She was still in this office for weeks. And he was right. I believe that we should not have asked children to apologize for things that they didn't do if they're not wrong. But I also had the understanding that adults needed respect, and I can meet you halfway. So in saying that, I started advocating for myself at school. Back then, it was interpreted as being rude. Now, it's interpreted differently because it is a different platform, it's different people, and school teachers, counselors, all types of people. Even the community was able to shape me into a way how I can advocate positively to assist people. So it's all about how you bite your tongue, in a way. So when I thought about who I wanted to be, how I wanted somebody to look up to me in the future, I thought about the legacy I wanted to leave behind. And if I was going to be okay with joining a different party and some of their standards or some of the things they stood for, and I wasn't comfortable with that. So when I thought about the kind of legacy I wanted to leave, so when I got to 103, I knew it made a difference what political party I got involved in, even if I didn't run. I didn't even know I was going to run. So it matters when you talk to your children, and I tell parents, you need to talk to your children. Don't hide things from them because you put them in a position where they can't articulate or think for themselves without all of the information. Engage them about politics, policy, and what is going on. And it doesn't have to be hardcore politics. Ask them about what they think about the bus that turned over. Ask them about how they think about bus fare impacting everyday life. Ask them about the supermarket if they think that the cost of living is too expensive. When you break down things to your children in a manner that they can understand, you help strengthen them as a person to make decisions for themselves, like if they want to be involved in politics. So many young people say they don't want to vote. They say this all the time when you canvass. Both parties are the same. They think that way because they don't have an outlet to see something different at this time. Honestly, most of them being born in a generation where they've only known one party in power, because before the 230 love, they would have been too young to really understand what was going on. Their parents maybe have not told them what happened in the past, but don't try to protect your children from the hardship that made you who you were. Because I know persons in my party, when I joined, spoke to me about being able to get free education. They were in the first batch. And when I said that they are proud at the school, like foundation people, I remember they said every birthday, a group of their friends go to foundation every single birthday. When each of them celebrate a birthday, they catch the bus. They take pride in catching the bus, even though they drive. Go up there and buy all the things on sale, just because they had an opportunity that their parents didn't have. And a lot of people wouldn't have had that opportunity if the DLP didn't put plans in place. And I know people are like, oh, did they really do it? Yes, they really did it. Imagine if you had to pay to go secondary school. And a lot of other countries do have to pay to attend secondary school. Countries like Jamaica. Like, I have friends in Jamaica who tell me that they pay thousands of dollars just to study and to do CSEs. And we're studying for free. Well, free in a sense, but free for the most part. So when you think about all the things that was done to help you to get where you were or where you are currently, I couldn't imagine doing it without it. Think about UWI, BCC, all the places you can study, even Polytechnic, you can study at a reduced rate as a student, as a Barbadian. That is the advantage that a lot of Caribbean countries don't have. So when you think for people who will fight for you, sometimes they may have to make hard decisions, but I'd rather be told from the front that this is going to be a tough walk down the road than be lied to and the truth be hidden, because a lot of that is currently happening in this government's administration. Constantly, we see every single day things changing. 1 minute they will tell us that, say, the sewage problem is fixed. 2 days later, we see the same problem. So when you think about the things that they tell us, sometimes they're not even communicating, and it feels almost like a lie, like we're caught in a lie. So that is where a lot of the younger generation believe that all political parties are the same, mainly because they've only really known one political party. And two, it feels like fake news every single day, as Donald Trump will say. Every time you turn on the TV, is some politician apologizing for something they said yesterday, fixing it, or pulling back some type of policy that they would have implemented that doesn't make sense. That didn't make sense before they put it out, but they thought that we wasn't paying attention. So for us, we have an uphill battle. We are fighting against this notion that we are all the same. We're having to prove ourselves, which I guess is going to be easy because we are doing things, but it's difficult when you see all these red shirts, you see all this partying. You imagine young people ask me if all politicians do is party? And they say that we like to party, but in fact, we also like things that make sense. We like plans for the future. We don't want to wait till when we're 40, we gotta pay back a whole set of debt. So for us, it doesn't feel like this government is really planning for our future. They may be planning for the future they're in currently, but it feels like they're putting a lot of things in place that will impact people like me and Jamal in the next generation.
Understood. So to you, Pedro, political institutions. Better yet, let's widen that. Sporting institutions. How important are these institutions to being a voice for the young people in regards to youth advocacy?
Yeah. I'll answer that by going back even to myself. When I was always loved history, so that was one of my subjects at school, and we started obviously in this party with the father of independence, Arrow. Then remember in 1991 when we had the 8% cut that would have cost us the government. Then 1994, the then lawyers in Sandiford, no, that was then dated then in the year 2000, because of that 8% cut that saved the country.
Yeah. Historians and like they do say that is probably one of the saving graces in regards to the Barbadian economy.
Right. Yeah. So when you have those things happening as a history student, and then in 1999, David Thompson was the opposition leader then, and I would have gone to him to do my SBAs and social studies, etc. Going to community college, I then meet some lawyers since I'm teaching me at community college governance and politics as an elective. So it so happened that the DLP stalwarts were there in my life, and then it was easy then in choosing a party and coming to the Democratic Party. I say that to say that we don't know who we are going to impact when we meet them, and therefore we need to make sure that whenever we go out there, that what message we leave with somebody, that person wants to say, I want to join the Democratic Party. I believe my values, my principles coincide with this party's philosophy, and that is where I want to be. So the youth in politics and these young people, etc., they're the ones who are on the ground as well, who then can get people as well to join this party, because it's all about continuity. Now, when you look at other organizations, whether it be Kiwanis, Rotary, etc., you have, as a young person, you should commit to something. Now, when you look at the University of West Indies, there are a number of persons as well too that do political science. They don't necessarily come in to run for elective office. So one of the things that we can do as well as young Democrats is to reach out to them, to encourage them to write policy papers for us, so that when we go there, etc., we have the young minds based in the governance and politics or within their respective fields as well, to give us the ideas that we can bring back then to the actual party in a youth manifesto. So youth in politics is extremely important, because it is you all on the ground, us on the ground, I'm going to put myself in that category, us on the ground, and getting the message out, and also the message in to us as well.
That's true. Yeah, it's a two-way street.
So Jamal, tell me about how important political institutions are to being a voice for the youth.
I'll just say this. Now in Barbados is the one time that I see young people showing high levels of relevance when it comes to politics. Like, it's funny. For years people have been saying, oh, people are in politics, this and that, but that is not the case. Have you seen TikTok? Have you seen social media? More than ever, young people are actually interested in politics. And I feel a lot of it has to do with the government and the way the economic climate is feeling right now, in terms of the groundwater in St. Lucie that still didn't get resolved up to now. You can find so many videos on TikTok, young people actually speaking out. You know, the tent legislation, young people speaking out. You know, there's a lot of different things I could say that the young people are speaking out. So I would say, yes, this is a time where young people are showing very increased ideas in politics. And I think it's something that really comes to play when the government or the country, sorry, is going in the wrong direction. How important do I think youth arms are to being the voice of the youth, that you young Democrats or the Democratic Party? Well, I'll say this. We pay attention to the youth. We welcome the youth. And we want you to be a part of our organization. Your views here will be valued. We want to know exactly what you're thinking, because we plan to change. I want you to word change. We plan to alter the direction of this country in a very serious way. And as my comrade Jamal likes to say, the youth is down. So honestly speaking, I would say the Democratic Party, the Young Democrats, are the voice of the young people. We listen to you, we hear what you say, and we try. Our aim is to actually change, or once again, alter politics to suit your needs. It's true, you speaking out as well, that we learn what the real pain points in the country for people are. Things that the average politician doesn't choose to think about, like how all these young creators want to make funds and they feel left out because people like Jamaicans and other Caribbean islands are getting the pay pack, getting the bank on social media content creation. But we aren't. And it makes them feel very left out. So this is something that we as young Democrats think about. We as young parliamentarians in the making and young leaders in the making think about. We want to champion that different directions so that we know that when we pass policies, when we go and we alter legislation, that people benefit, that the young people especially benefit. It's crazy. Back in the day, at 16, 17, 18, I'm not going to lie to you, I did not know what the term called high cost of living was. I mean, I would have feel it, we would have all been going through it, but it wasn't really mentioned. No, it's the first thing that when I go as a constituent, as a candidate, right? That comes out of people's mouth, how hard things is, the cost of living so high, and I'm always amazed at the fact that they know this at their age. That is something to think about. And there's so much I can say, because I'm getting very passionate about this area. I value young people. I'm young myself, and it's always good to see young-minded individuals coming up to me with solutions, asking me, why the government don't do this? Why the government don't do this? I have to say, we can't depend on them. We have to do it ourselves. That's one of the reasons why I myself got into politics. I decided to be a candidate. There's a need to change and to alter this country. And I think the Young Democrats are the first people to pay, are the first people to champion this charge to this area of altering the country. So I would say that they are very, very strong. They are very, very important. They are the voice of the youth.
Thank you very much for that contribution. Shout out to Comrade Ramon.
Yes, he's a good man
for Sir Andrew.
Yes, a good man for the job.
Good man for the job. So, okay, at the beginning of our program, we would have seen the song, we would have played Seats and Movement. I want to ask you all to expound on what you see in the message. What does it mean to you, Seats and Movement? Shaquani, what does Seats and Movement mean to you?
If you've ever had a life where you had to catch a van, when the conductor hit the side of the van and say, seats not moving to wherever he's going to, you know what that means. It means it's time to get on the van. If you want it, you're going to look up like you are looking to see what is going on. So it's a signal to let people know. It's almost like an announcement. So when you think about it, I don't know if everybody who's watching have ever been on a van or in proximity to where the conductor will hit the van to announce that the van one is coming and they have seats to go to whichever destination. With it being that, seats are moving for the Young Democrats is the announcement that we're coming to collect seats. Because with this current administration, the public have lost faith with this government. And we're starting now. That is the announcement for the public to know that we're ready, because as they would say, the youth would lead. And with that, we're assisting the party in leading into this election. We don't know when it will be called, but we are ready and we're prepared. And this is so that the DLP will know we're coming to collect seats. So it's up to them to defend their seats, but it can be difficult. So many roads are bad. So many locations don't have water. I was in Bushell today,
Mhm.
and a lady told me for the last 2 years her waters go up every single day. She's got low pressure. The last 4 months she's been without water a lot, and I'm like, in Bushell? She was like, yeah, this is the norm. I was like, but you live right behind the school. How is this a norm? She was like, I don't know, but this is the norm. And imagine you're hearing about St. Lucie. Everybody knows about St. Lucie, and we know about St. John.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know about the other areas where you don't think would be impacted. People can't survive without the basics. And it's so frustrating. Your lady has a salon, and you imagine she's going to rearrange appointments based on the water schedule. And it's not like it's on a schedule. It's just if it goes off, she's going to send you a message saying, wow, we currently don't have water. So obviously, if you're going to get a relaxer, that is not a lot of faith in the location due to that. But unfortunately, that is her reality. So she would have to switch around her appointments to accommodate that. So if she has different plans in the evening, her plans change. I remember when we grew up, how different it was. You could turn on your pipe. You remember your grandmother used to start wasting water?
Yeah.
You know, you bathe it under the pipe, playing water, wires in the road with the hose. And you imagine somebody saying, you know, they'll almost call the police for you because you're wasting something that is so valuable now. Even though it's so expensive, it's also very valuable. So all the locations that have water crisis, oh God, I don't know if any of you have been to St. Thomas recently. The roads, oh God.
Not bad.
The roads are so horrible.
Just came from there.
The roads are so bad. And I'm like, this should be illegal. And some of those roads have been like that for months. Almost a year. I remember the road in Eagle Lodge. I don't think that they repaired that one yet. I still live in this area in Eagle Lodge. And I went there to collect something. And I was like, how do people drive in? Because the road is kind of tight. So you can loop around, but it's kind of tight. I went like, when I stepped down in, I don't even know what to call it, a crater. It was like a swimming pool. That I stepped down into was so many. It was ridiculous. And the amount that they digged out from the hole had plants going through it. So you knew how long it had to be there. This project was on the way. Like, so many issues are so prevalent, and the government is just not doing anything. It's like they're brushing it off. And I told people, when you don't have to do something, you don't know how it impacts people. The reason they can raise bus fare to $3.50 because they don't catch the bus. They do not catch the bus. It's not their means to getting around. And even if they did, it would not impact them like how it would impact another person, because bus fare is really expensive. I don't know how many MPs you see living in St. Lucie drinking St. Lucie water. I doubt they do. I used to live in my uncle town. We didn't used to drink the water, and it was overbound. The water was always white, and when you taste it, it was always salty. It always had like this whiteness. And I knew, like, when my friends we would go to like restaurants up on the West Coast, like once you're in a hotel area, don't drink the water. Don't ever ask for tap water. That's like chalk water that you're drinking. It was ridiculous. I went on one of the water marches recently, and I asked one of the persons from St. Lucie, my St. Lucie chairman. He brought me a bottle of brown water. Oh my gosh. It was so horrible. I told somebody it reminded me of tamarind. I don't know if you ever had a tamarind juice, but the consistency and color was just like that. And when I took it back, I showed my mother, and she was like, what is this thing that's clunking together? Because all of the dust started to come together like a lump.
Wow.
Not like clay. My mother said it looked like feces, and I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot unsee this.
And that's the same water they said that was safe to drink, didn't it?
I don't know if it was safe to drink for them, but it definitely wasn't safe for me to drink. And it's not safe for the people in St. Lucie to drink. Until we start seeing the MPs and the politicians drinking this St. Lucie water like it is a boba tea, unfortunately, we might just need to leave it.
Well, seats are moving for you, Pedro.
Yeah, I must admit that when I first saw the ads and stuff, I was like, oh boy, we can get some negative fallout from this here.
Oh, don't get me started there, boy.
I'm happy that you started the show with a stern defense of it, because when I really sat back and thought about it, for the time you are a baby, a toddler,
yeah,
you hear Cocomelon. The wheels on the bus go round and round. And then when you go through Barbados, then in terms of before song, you will hear ready bus to town, ready bus, like the bus break down again, like the bus break down.
We didn't hear that, Pedro.
You don't hear that?
Pedro.
Oh boy.
Yeah, everybody hurry up. Like, I did not hear that. I've never heard that before. I've never heard that.
So there were a number of also comments or vision sayings related to buses, such as the get on the wrong bus, right? And then even in terms of people who are working in the various let's say restaurants, etc. Or if you're by a girlfriend, you can't miss the last bus. I ain't gonna run through town or around to bus or get a last bus because that's the last bus.
Yeah.
Right. So Bajans have a connection with a bus.
Yeah.
So I think, and I want to congratulate you, Shaquani, Jamal, Janine, the president, for coming up with that concept, seats are moving, because the bus and seats resonate with every Barbadian.
All right then.
All right, with every Barbadian. And I want to say this, that it is also very timely, because we all know that there's probably going to be election within the next couple months or within the next 15 months, but we believe it's going to be the first quarter. But whenever it's so called, I am getting on this bus with the Young Democrats because we will be getting seats and moving into Parliament to reclaim this country, because let's face it, this administration has lost the connection with the people. It's lost it.
Maybe they need to catch more buses.
So I fully support seats are moving.
Jamal, what about you? Seats are moving.
Let me just say, as I was a part of this video promoting seats are moving, people have came to me with negative review, right? And I always defend 100%, but I also intake information.
Yeah.
They were talking about how is, correlated with the minibus culture and how, it looked negative and this how the van had turned over, right?
No.
And I get that. I get their point of view, right? And I will never discredit their point of view. At the end of the day, though, I think it's a misrepresentation of what we are accomplishing and what we were trying to go for accomplish. The reality is that at the end of the day, right, as Pedro just said, is an analogy. Seats are moving. Is like saying we are getting seats in Parliament and moving forward with this country, right? So for me, that is what's important. I get where people will be coming from with negative connotations. As we know, people always want a higher standard. We accept that. At the end of the day, though, it's about what we were trying to accomplish is that we are trying to show you this is how we're going to reshape this country. And that's to me what seats are moving is all about. Reshaping this country.
The funny thing about it is that I do many different things. One of the things I am passionate about is dominoes. So I am in a domino chat at the National Association of Dadamus, that runs dominoes in Barbados, that National Dadamus Association. They have a fundraising tournament going on for independence right now. And so basically we're at the stage of it's a 3-hand tournament. So it's 2 in, 1 out. So if you come last, you're out. And these are big people. And you know what the analogy was? Every night now, so it plays on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. So every Monday night around 10 o'clock when the games are finished, or Wednesday night, the question is who on the bus going home? Right? Because they're out now, they're out. Right? So the analogy is still there's one of the persons, I'm not going to call their name. They were like, man, I love that though. I love seats and moving. And they use the same analogy inside the chat to say, who on this bus? You see? So yeah.
Shaquani, you had something?
Yes, I wanted to talk about the bus, the van, and the video. That video was done so in advance. That was done a while ago. Because our president of the Young Democrats had vision. Like, she is a planner. I want to tell you, she's a planner. She had that plan ever since. All these songs and things were planned before. And then they had a release date, obviously, to go along with our announcements of our meetings and our activities coming up this weekend. But so many people messaged me about the video after it came out, due to the fact of the incident that happened with the school children, which I do understand. And then what it brought to my attention was, I remember when it happened 10 years ago, when the Springer girl lost her hand.
Yeah.
And it was not like van culture was created under this video. Like, we didn't create it, we didn't make it negative, and we did not create the incident. I told a lot of people, you watch movies, right? And they were like, yes. I said, okay, it was like a movie. It was literally fiction. The van was not moving. Yes, we were hitting the van, but the van was stationary. The driver was not drinking, if that is one of the concerns. The van wasn't actually shaking. We were shaking a stationary van. So just like how in action films, you see people jumping off of the cliff, you see people walking through fires, it's special effects.
Got you.
It was a video, yes, but we created it using elements where we were stationary. Yes, at one point you did see the van moving, but the van wasn't shaking.
That's the one thing.
The van wasn't shaking.
That's the one thing.
The most of that performance was us running off and onto the van. I was like, oh my God, we're going to be so exhausted when we finish doing this. And we had so much fun bringing this whole concept together. Like, they were planning and prepping this whole thing for almost a whole day till we got there. So when I got there, I was now playing cashier with all these moves, how you're running into the van, all of that. The van was stationary. The same way how you could watch, I remember when African movies was a big thing. How you could watch African movies and you never do voodoo.
Still a big thing in my house.
Exactly. You can watch something and it cannot be real because it is a video. It is doing a promotion. When you see, I don't want to call out any businesses, but there are a lot of businesses who are taking social media so seriously now. So you will see a lot of the ads where Valentine's people hopping around in the store, or you will see where people are getting interrogated with a plastic bag over the head. I didn't hear anybody asking if she was really kidnapped, and I watched that same video. So the same way how other institutions are allowed to create content and produce stuff from it, we are also allowed to do that. And with young people, we are able to bring more energetic concepts to the table that people may not be thinking about. And as Pedro said, the Beijing bus is very significant. Now, you see that blue and yellow van? That means something. When you go through the Caribbean, right, you will not see big vans like that one, and you will not see them in colors like how our colors are represented on our vans. It means something to be in a minibus. Tourists come here to be in minibuses. They always ask, how do we catch a minibus? Because they know about it from online. It is a staple in Barbados. And I know for a fact, any person that does a video with a minibus, regardless if it's stationary, moving, even by a bus stop, it means something. You remember when we won that election by the lady getting in the bus? I remember that, like, yes, in my household, that was a big thing.
Yeah, my mother loved that ad.
That was amazing. So it's not like the DLP is not known for using transportation in ads. It's not my fault that the other side did not come up with creative ideas and that the young people did not. What I can say is that they can utilize this content that we created to probably come up with something as good as it, or help stimulate their minds, because that is what we're doing. We were able to bring in directors, people doing videography, photographers. We brought all the bright young minds together to create an excellent concept. And one of the things that persons are not even saying, the song and the words were created by young Democrats. So we have talent all around helping produce this excellent product. I must say, we need to give them a round of applause. Yes, you can pull out negative things, but we did not cause that accident. We did not agree with van culture, if that is what you want to call it, and how they behave on the van, but it's not our fault. The government needs to be harsher on, unfortunately, the ones who are not keeping up the standard, the ZR drivers, and I want to say the conductors, if they're behaving in that manner, because it didn't start by that van turning over, because as I said, we had an incident similar to that a couple years back, and we constantly see people putting up videos of ZRs weaving through traffic. We never once from those videos seen arrest, an update, a report, or license, or the vehicle permit removed. I find this government only reacts. Something happens, they must say something, so they must look like they're doing something. They need to stop pretending to work and actually work. Because if they were doing what they were supposed to be doing from the beginning, which is not realizing that after the accident, van culture was an issue, actually doing work, they would have already stopped incidents like that from happening. Because if you have so many people, so many ministers, you're trying to tell me nobody at once thought about the idea that, oh, maybe we need to put harsher penalties on persons who drive and own ZRs.
Rein them in.
You had to wait on an accident that somebody could have lost their life. God forbid.
If I could chime in
Yeah,
here
of
on
course.
that point. One of the things that our comrade leader Ralph Torn has indicated, and he reminded us that it was this Democrat-led party that would have instilled the free bus fares for children to travel on the transport board.
Correct.
Because of these same issues that was happening back then. Now, one of the things that he also reminded us is that the legislation is there. So we would have removed the amplified sets from the buses. And there is stiff penalties for persons. I think it's supposed to be a metric system that is being used. But the problem is the policing of it. So I am aware that the fines for the offenders have gone up, but you're not hearing, as Shaquani was just highlighting, that you're not hearing about persons then actually getting their license revoked or anything like that in terms of
discipline.
You're not seeing it being out there. So I'm like, I actually was asking a question of a friend, and sometimes I wonder, and we wonder actually, if people are. I remember when the Prime Minister came in, she made a comment. She want money, and you see that these fines have gone up, and these offenders are paying sometimes like $1,000, $1,200 forthwith. But then go back and do the same thing again. So they're coming before the courts continually, and I'm hoping that this is not becoming a revenue collection system, as opposed to a proper policy and implementation of saving our country's youth. So let's put the record straight. The DLP has always been for the protection of our youth,
100%.
and also for the safeguarding of our transportation on our roads. And people need to separate the two, because the DLP has always put its message out there where that's concerned.
Here's where I thought that the criticism was unfair to me, because I thought that there was no nexus between the two, like the accident and the Young Democrats presentation. Because here is two individuals, two adults, a van driver and a conductor, taking young people between the ages, I guess, of 12 and 16 on a van, off-road, engaging in reckless driving, which is against the Road Traffic Act. Then there was an accident. You get me? Then there was the accident. Some people were hurt. Here are the Young Democrats now, trying to put forward a positive message. Using a van. You get me? Which to me, I felt, because I think there's two subsets of van culture. The one that engages the young people in our schools to go off-road and stuff like that. And then there's the party bus culture, where the individuals who actually rent buses and do bus crawls and stuff like that. I felt that the video, you understand me, more highlighted the party bus culture rather than the event style of it. So then I felt that the criticism was unfair, because here we are now speaking on both sides of our mouth. You want young people to find avenues that are productive and positive. Here you have young people who are finding avenues who are productive and positive. But because you want to find something negative about it, you look past the message. This is young people getting involved in Barbadian politics, telling you, listen, we coming for seats, and we moving, and you can want to equate that to van culture. That was to me was unfair. So when I first, and there was a very prominent individual who was the entertainment, who I felt should have been the first person to defend that video, because he himself and his group was maligned and attacked because of their freedom of expression. And I was very, very, very disappointed. And I felt that in itself, because if there's no basis for the criticism, then it's political. It's political. And we need to defend our young people from these individuals who are going to come and tell them, just attack them for every little thing that they see because they could find a negative rather than a positive.
Correct.
So, speaking of that, how do we get our young people more involved in the political process? We need to get them to come out and speak out and get into more avenues that bring seats and movement. Do you guys have any ideas on how to get more youth involvement or participation in our political processes? Shaquani?
Well, I always tell people, start at home. If you're not the oldest person, if you're not the youngest person in your household, that means there's somebody younger than you. Bring them out. When I was younger, every man had to go to church. Even if your parents didn't go to church, you go to church. We went to church as a gap. When I say that, we went to church as a gap. One body will get the call, we're going to send to school for 9. So before you leave home, you're going to assemble by the house that got the most amount of children there, and then we all walking up the gap together. So with that, think about politics and getting young people involved the same way. They may have doubt, but they will not actually know for certain until you bring them. So just bring them. I have so many friends that do not belong to the party who helped me on a lot of projects and who helped me in the past because they realized that they agreed with a lot of the things that we're saying. They agree with what they was doing and they wanted to be a part of it. I remember when we started the water drive. Oh my gosh. So, and I think that was about like 2019 or 2020 when we first started. I got so many donations, and I mean, like, people just saying cases of water to the party. I used to get calls all the time. Water just got dropped off. People just saying, because I used to say only one $20 bill will make you a member. So just saying one $20 bill, and that you can purchase a case of water with that. And with that, so many people used to reach out. I remember my uncle had this friend, and he was a BLP supporter. And he used to give my uncle an envelope every single week and tell him, this is for the water drive. Tell Shaquani I believe in what she's doing. This is for the water drive. And what that showed me, people can look past politics to help people. And the Young Democrats are all about helping people, helping the next generation and involving them and showing them the way. We do not ask you who you voted for when we go to hand out water. We've never asked anybody that. It does not matter because politics does not stop you from getting water. Oh my gosh, imagine if every BLP member got water in St. Lucie. Obviously, that would be say, I would need to vote for the BLP, but that's not how it works. Hardship does not pick parties to support. So with that, we don't ask. I remember when we did the drive where we distributed food in Independent Square for people who did not have food. We didn't ask somebody who they voted for. It did not matter because we were helping people. And that is what people need to see first. When you become a part of the Young Democrats, whether you join or you just come to assist, we put people first every single time. When we think about what we want as representation for the future, that is where we're fighting, We're fighting because if we don't and we allow this administration to continue, there wouldn't be a future to fight for anymore. I have so many friends who are just frustrated, and a lot of my friends are not in politics. Like, half of my friends, I can guarantee if I mention them now, somebody's at gym, somebody's at volleyball. Like, there are people who are just enjoying their lives. Like, all the time they always say, Shaquani, I never imagine you being in politics. Like, when I see you, I always see you on serious. So when they hear me on the radio or they hear me on a platform, they hear me on DLP TV, they're always like, oh my gosh, like, this is crazy. When you're talking to us about just like if we're in front of you, it makes it seem so simple. I got friends who call me, well, I had this friend, her children was in a nursery, and she called me, she was like, is it normal for nurseries to be closed for like 6 months? And this is a government nursery. It was only supposed to be closed for 1 month. She said, I didn't get any notice or anything like that. The nursery never opened back. She said some of the students were sent to a different nursery, but she said it wasn't convenient for me to send my children from where they currently were, because this was in a large nursery that was closed for like almost 6 months. And she was like, this is so frustrating. Like, I signed up my children for a government nursery because it was convenient, but then I ended up having to pay somebody because the nursery never opened back. She called childcare board to ask for an update, and they told her they don't have an update. They don't know what's going on. And she said, like, I don't understand. Like, are you guys creating a chat where you send out the updates on your progress? Because you told us it was only supposed to be closed like 1 to 2 months maximum. You know what's crazy? Her children left nursery and are now at primary school, and the nursery never opened back. I don't know if it's open back now, but she had to look for a different means for her children to be looked after for that whole 6-month period because she didn't have an alternative, and it was so frustrating. Children need stability, but how can they get stability if things like this collapse and people are not following up on initiatives like this? Something like this could really impact a neighborhood. Like when you think about Eden Lodge, and you know currently they had a lot of shootings in that area, a lot. K-Phil, all of that is surrounding in Eden Lodge. So something as simple as a community nursery where the children can go to nursery is extremely valuable. That is like currency. You know, it's so hard to get in the government nursery. It's no willingness.
Yeah.
And for you to get that opportunity to assist you so you can save some additional funds, but then to hear, oh, the nursery under renovations and it just never opened back. No updates, no nothing. It is extremely frustrating. I think we need to understand that when it comes to wanting somebody to represent you, you want somebody who will fight for you. Each of these parishes, each of these constituencies have representatives. They have somebody to represent them. I mean, they may forget. I mean, sometimes I see some of them in the gym. Yes, you have to work hard, but when I see people in the gym or I see you just driving about, living your life, and people don't got water or water bound, I just be like, what are you doing? Because if it was me, I couldn't sleep. I remember during COVID, and the government gave the DLP some hampers. And people was like, oh, at least they help you guys. I told somebody it was 500. That was the hardest math we ever did in our lives because a whole set of young Democrats have volunteered to help with this process. We divided the 500 hampers among 30 constituencies. It worked out roughly like 16 to 18 hampers per constituency. Some constituencies got in 10,000 persons. You know what? You know how we had to figure out, like the candidates or the takers at that time had to decide who was the most in need. Like that broke my heart back then because when we thought about it, it was so hard. I remember we dropped off a hamper to help a lady, and the lady cried. When I told this woman cried so bad, the woman said like she had no money after her paycheck, after her pay was cut. It ended up that she only had $5 left back because her work didn't send them home, but they cut the paycheck in half. But after her bills were covering her rent, she had $5 left back to last her the month. And she said if it didn't bring the sample, she was just counting the ramen noodles she had in there, trying to figure out how much days they could eat and what they would do. But when I think about it, it is extremely difficult. People need somebody to believe in. And when you have a government where almost everything is fake news, it is hard to believe in them. That is why the Young Democrats started this Seats and Moving. And these are some of the activities coming up that you can go to this weekend. Tomorrow night, you have the Take Charge line at Savvy on the Bay. So if you are interested in politics, you are interested in talking about what is going on in Barbados, and you just want to talk to like-minded people, because not every friend in your friend group wants to talk about what is going on in Barbados, you could come tomorrow night at Savvy on the Bay and just talk. Food and drinks are on sale, but you will find other young people there just like you wanting somebody to engage with. The next day, we have... Oh, right, they just switched out the flyer. So just in case you couldn't see it, if you go on Savvy on the Bay, tomorrow night, that is when we will have our Take Charge line. And you can go there from 5 p.m. We will be there. On the Saturday, we have the National Youth Rally. Oh my gosh, we have so many amazing speakers. We have some speakers coming from Kenya and one coming from Dominica. And it is not just about politics. It's about people. It's about people, putting people first. And some of these youth activists stand up for young people every single day in their country. And that is why we thought it was necessary to bring them to speak to you. So if you're interested in hearing that, you can come to Saturday at Savvy on the Bay at 5 p.m. Yes, the whole weekend we are going to be at Savvy on the Bay. And on Sunday, we have... David, can you bring it up a little bit bigger? Thank you.
National Youth.
Right. So on Sunday, we had the National Youth Forum, which is a panel discussion. And again, when we had the press conference, we spoke about, we are going to talk about PSV culture because that is one of the hot topics. Since we brought up the Seats Are Moving music video, because that is what it is a music video. Everybody has something to say about us doing the music video using a van. But what we want to shed light on is the actual issue with PSV culture and not a music video that was created to promote Seats Are Moving initiative. And then following up on that, Sunday late in the evening, not at Savvy on the Bay, we have a spot meeting at Christchurch East at Buffy's Bar. I know a lot of you know where that is, so we'll see you Sunday evening at 5:30. So this is how your weekend is going to go. You're going to start at Savvy on the Bay with the Take Charge line, starting at 7 p.m. this Friday at Bay Street. Then you're going to go to the National Youth Rally, which is on Saturday, November the 8th, starting at 5 p.m. also at Bay Street at Savvy on the Bay. And then we're going to go Sunday, November the 9th at 1 p.m. at Savvy on the Bay as well. And this is the National Youth Forum, Youth in Action. At the National Youth Rally, the topic there is going to be youth already standing on business.
Business.
Yes, business. The reason we created these concepts because these are things that young people say all the time, like take charge. Like think about the song because when I saw the team, I thought about the song as well. We are taking charge of our future. We are standing on business because standing up for what is right, using your voice to represent people is very important. And youth in action. We're highlighting youth who are currently in action, speaking on pressing issues and showing the public that young people want to have the voice to speak up and they're not afraid to speak out. Because under this administration, there's a lot of pressure, but in the Young Democrats, we will always stand on business and we will put young people first always.
So, right, Pedro, tell me, how do we increase participation of our young people in Barbadian politics?
Yes. What I would say, I would have to take a spin on that youth ignite weekend. That is one of the things that we can continue to support, where the youth lead the charge, take charge, basically, in getting all of the activities going, and the momentum going as well, and encouraging young people as well to come and contribute to their own personal development because, well, it is now they are the ones who are going to shape our futures as well too. They must play a part in making being part of the decision making and how things will happen for them going forward. From a more structural policy perspective, and I'm not afraid to say these things because it's about the country benefiting. If the other side wants to take this and run with it, and so be it. But the youth president of the Young Democrats should also sit on the executive council, general council, because you want to marry two. And that way, it's also about mentoring and succession planning, because so that they can see then what the next level is and where they have to aspire to be and what they need to do from now to get to that stage, and also understand how decisions are made, so that when they make decisions, it's not necessarily decisions that, as this current administration does, or they really night on how they feel, but it's well thought out, planned, engaged stakeholders' decisions that benefits everybody. One of the other ways we can get persons on board and into politics, etc., and contributing to the party would be going to where they are. So
You know where I'm at.
exactly. So the Democratic Party, the Democrats, etc., can also and the stalwarts of the party, we can have contests in the primary schools, the spelling bee, where or history, something where Barbados come from as a team, but we have to meet people where they are. I mentioned earlier on the show, we talked about the young university graduates who are doing political science, etc. And sometimes we have to pay people. So we offer persons an incentive for writing policy papers, etc., that we can use them to guide us as well too, because we don't have all the knowledge, and we paid all the consultants, etc., high fees. So let's invest in our youth and pay them to help us with our policy papers. That's how you bring people into the party, into youth politics.
Stop asking young people to volunteer.
Pay them.
Oh
them.
my gosh.
It's
So
an
many,
investment.
even now, I see constantly a lot of young people who would have not volunteered, let me not say that, who would have worked in Carry Festa, so complaining not being paid.
You get paid.
To
Some,
this,
yeah.
Yep.
Up to last week, I saw somebody post, it's November. When are we going to be paid from Carry Festa? So imagine we have young people who were hired to be influencers to promote Carry Festa, to promote Crop Over, and some of them have not been paid, and people are relying on that money. And they're so frustrated. They feel disrespected as artists and creatives because they feel like they're not being placed on the same level as a person if they were a doctor or lawyer, due to the fact that they would have been paid. That's what they feel. And they keep saying that people are not speaking to them. There are no updates. They don't know what's going on. And they just keep hearing, when you work for government, you always have to wait for your money.
no, that's not good.
It is crazy because they didn't have to wait for the service. I saw a lot of them promoting Carry Festa, all the activities. You can go here, you can go there. I know a lot of them wish they never promoted. Because imagine, when that money come, if that money come, when that money come, that might come next year. Because I hear this saying that people getting tax returns. So if people getting tax returns, they might not be in the shuffle for money before Christmas. So January, that's ridiculous. It's almost crop over again if you're giving people money from January from projects they did in June.
You
July.
remember the excuse that the minister used before she said that people would be paid? I think they had to rely on accounting. And so are we still relying on the accounting at this point?
Really? They love to blame somebody.
Wow.
When you work for the government, before you even start to work, you guys fill out a vendor's form. Submit all your information up front. Because they say they can't pay you if you got Thomas, they can't pay you if you got this. You got to submit a vendor's form. So that when you have completed the work, they can pay you based on the information you sent in. So a coach should have had that information before they even started, because to get paid, you need to complete the vendor's form. Okay. Even say you didn't get to complete the vendor's form at the beginning. You're doing it at the end. It cannot take 2, 3, 4 months for accounts to get it sorted out. It is not that difficult because the vendor's form comes with all the information in slots. So you're basically copy and pasting out information to put in. What the government could have been more truthful to say is that we honestly went over our budget by a lot and did not budget to pay people. That's reality. Because at the same time, people from Carry Festa were not being paid. People who thought and organized summer camps were not paid. I had so many summer camp workers reaching out to me crying because they thought that working at summer camp would give them additional money because they didn't have a job, not realizing 8 weeks after, no money. Some of them could not even send back to school their children.
I want to focus on a comment there by Patricia Green. Is it Patricia Green? They will get that money for election, and those people will vote for them again. That would be so sad to see that somebody would hold back that money to then say, you know what, we know when you really need it, so
Wow.
and then that, you know, that'd be crazy. But Jamal, don't feel that you get me from this question with how we can get more participation of our youth in politics. I really want to hear your perspective.
I was waiting for you, and I can just keep it brief. Pedro laid a very good nail. I need to have my horn now right now.
Yeah.
Just give them the opportunity. It is as simple. Just give your people the opportunity, a chance to do or to show what they're capable of. It is a sad thing that we live in a world. I mean, it was like it's a frontline country. We live in a world where your people are very unvalued. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. Who do you think are the most inventive people right now? I'm not talking about the past, talking about right now. We are the persons who are thinking and saying, well, this is what we have to struggle and deal with, and we come up with innovations to solve those problems.
Yeah.
And in the political space, I mean, just look at it, for example, look at Young Dance right now. We have about 5 candidates in Young Dance. 5 that come to mind. It could be more. So the reality is that young people are heavily interested. As I said before, check the social media, you can see so many people are speaking out when it comes towards what is going on in the country. You know, so I think all we really need to do is open up a platform at this point and tell them, come speak. Be respectful, but speak. You know, because these people have so much things that they could do. When they go through my constituency, and they got friends and family too, and I can get to that point, but let me go to the constituency right now. Right? There's so many people, young people, who want a chance, who want opportunities, and I think that's the problem. They feel deprived of opportunities. If you look into the workforce, what you're going to see, a lot of people that are forced to continue working because of a high retirement age. So what happens is now young people find it hard to get their foot in the door. So you're going to have a lower employment rate overall and a high unemployment rate for the younger people, because you still got stretching them people that working for years to say, you know, you got to stretch them, so young people can't really make there yet. So there's so much that happening, and I just say that the reason why this opportunity is important is because the young people for years have been deprived, and that is what the Young Democrats are all about. So you see, I can see a lot more than this, but this come out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because it's important. The young people really need to see that we do care, unlike some other people. Young people really need to see that we do care. So just come out and see what we have to offer. We will be listening. We will see what you think about, and we will try to take the information so that when we start to pass policies, that you too can benefit. So that's how I answer your question.
I want to highlight something that you said about there are young Democrats who are actually candidates right now, like yourself, Shaquani, Ramon. You know, I would have joined the Young Democrats way back. I ain't even getting in that, right? But there was something that the Prime Minister said at their conference, that our party tends to stifle voices and excommunicate people. I want people, right? I want people, before you judge or before you make up in your mind what is really going on with this party, take a look at this party first. This party has a mix of experience and young people.
100%.
Young people, young, intelligent, qualified, well-spoken people. Shaquani, Hunte, Ramon, yourself, Jamal, Pedro, so much names that I could call. You understand me?
And we say that again, Pedro and Young.
Young with association.
Pedro and Young.
Of the millennials and the Gen Z.
Yeah.
Middle there.
Yes.
Pedro.
And when because obviously the government is a propaganda machine. I'm going to call it for what they are. They're a propaganda machine. When they say that we excommunicate people, remember Dr. Maria Agard.
Remember Crystal Haynes.
So if you want to talk about people, right, that have been excommunicated from a party, and you know, not to be too salacious, there is a certain individual right now who has been seen and been photographed at the same conference, who would have defended the same Maria Agard and said that her excommunication went counter to procedural fairness and natural justice. You get me? So when you come and say that the DLP does this and kicks out people, remember who was doing it long before, because we didn't kick out anybody.
That's what you know about the city, set the record straight. We
ain't kick out nobody.
There you go.
They left. You get me? So by all means, let me just put that to bed. And I feel we're going to have a part 2 of this session, because I don't think we can get through all these topics. So I'm going to go now to the resilience of the youth in the Barbadian economy. Gentlemen, do you think there is a lack of inclusivity of our youth in the traditional Barbadian economy? Meaning that tourism, construction, agriculture, do those sectors really look to bring young people into them? Is there over dependence on tourism that is stagnating our employment opportunities for young people? I'm gonna just keep it to tourism, because that seems to be our bread and butter. Do you think that right now this over dependence on tourism is it cutting out our young people from, or the lack of diversifying tourism and in a whole, is it cutting out our young people from finding employment opportunities in this Barbadian economy? I'm going to actually switch it up now. I'm going to go to Pedro first. Pedro, what do you think?
Yeah, I was actually trying to look for the young lady's name. She was speaking at a forum the other day, and she spoke about all the developments of, her name is Ashley.
Ashley,
right? Yes. I want to quote the right person.
The right person.
And she made a very interesting comment in terms of the fact that we talk about tourism, and we talk about jobs in tourism. She spoke about the fact that we talk about the sustainability risk, etc. But when you look at all the hotel developments, then and it closing off the shoreline, then you're actually damaging the reef as well too with all the hotels, etc. Now, so I was actually speaking to one of the residents in St. James, and they promised to bring some photos for me of what St. James used to look like on the coast, as to what it looks like now. So there are a lot of blocked access. In fact, when you go from Paynes Bay right down, from Paynes Bay right down to Hotel, you can't actually. There's no real window to see anymore.
Can't see it.
No, and there are actually some blocks or gates and stuff where there's no access.
No access to beaches.
No parking, nothing like that.
Property.
Yeah. So the point I'm trying to make is that, well, yes, we want there's always going to be development. You can't be developing at the fallout then of the average Barbadian getting access to these certain things. And one of the things that we found back in the day, you had a lot of social commentary. Gabby comes to mind. His song, "The Beach Belong to We." And I don't find that we have a lot of social commentary now that really speaks to these issues that we have. So in terms now of jobs, what I find is that we cannot be so, well, yes, tourism is our main business.
Yes.
We cannot be so reliant only on tourism. And we find that youth then are getting frustrated because they're not creating enough more different industries or opportunities. And when you look at it, let's say, for instance, the issue with the water in St. Lucie that we're talking about now. And it is amazing that the current honorable member for St. Lucie was remaining so silent. And before he comes and reassures the residents in that area that there'll be a resolution soon, he asked the general manager at the water authority to apologize.
Why late? He knows that at a time soon.
So, but I'm just saying, you can't do those things, and that is why we've announced. In fact, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. But I can tell you that there is someone who is coming there. To St. Lucie that is going to be
hands-on.
A hands-on individual.
Correct.
That person has the community at heart, and I look forward to canvassing with them.
Yes. I'm on the canvassing.
So moving back to the water issue and the stagnation of youth in this country, I'll show you something. We consume from the plants such as Buster, the soft drinks, bites, the beers, and the bottled drinks, the Cokes and Sprites, everything, etc. You go to Mount Gay, Pine Hill Dairy, they all have their plants. They all have chemists, young chemists in Barbados, trained, qualified, went overseas, came back, etc. But we went overseas to get testing done on the water.
Really?
We do testing here at all of those I just called.
Whoa.
No young person was asked to test the quality. So we test the quality of all the beers we consume, all the alcohol we consume. But nobody thought to let the young people test the water. You know, when I had to put Jamal Sandiford on the front of the newspaper, indicating that Jamal Sandiford tests the water and it's within the limits or whatever the case may be, right? Or he then says that it can use for cooking, but we need to boil it or whatever first at the certain point. Whatever the case may be, I'm saying we went overseas for that.
Oh, that's sad. That's
we went overseas for that.
We don't matter.
The Beso Santos slab, right? Was it used? I'm told no. So these are the things I'm saying where you frustrate the youth, right? So it's not just tourism, it's all around. It's every issue. We need to engage our youth. Now, we have persons who work in government as well that they will write policy papers and they don't get the recognition for it. They don't get even a payment for it. But consultant will come, take that idea and get a massive payday. You go to the QEH, you have young doctors who go and they specialize in their areas, but they can't be promoted because they have to wait for a consultant to come from outside at the expense of us, and people are dying waiting for the person to return.
Wow.
We need to stop talking it and invest not only in the youth, but in the people of this country
Right.
who are very qualified, who are very educated,
Yep.
who have all the knowledge.
Yep.
Because what we're doing is frustrating people
Mhm.
and making them leave the service easy or earlier.
Mhm.
So then you have a brain drain
Yeah.
because there's no transfer of knowledge now from
Mhm.
persons who are permanent secretaries, we're working in government and civil service for a number of years to pass on that knowledge.
Yeah.
You don't have people who will be on boards and bringing young people at the same time to mentor them on the various boards, cross training as well in government.
Mhm.
So that people have the young people get an idea of how labor works, how the environment works, how this. So you need to cross train your young people as well,
Definitely.
and that is the way that you can have a more vibrant and productive sectors where people are going based on knowledge and experience as opposed to friends in positions.
Mm.
So it's not just tourism, it's a whole economy we're talking about that we need to diversify and include our young people in the planning for the development of this country.
Well said, Jamal.
Give a clap for that.
Jamal, I need you to follow on from that. I need you to follow on.
Well, to follow on, simply it would be like young people, once again, they feel deprived
Mhm.
and to add, frustrated.
Mm.
Let's take the new legislation into account where people are getting only 3-month contracts. How are you supposed to feel motivated to know that you can go work for 3 months? Yes, to get the job. Who knows how long you're waiting for one? Yes, you get the job, but there's only 3 months now you can get paid. That so what I leave you to do, and leave you that when you're still working on that first job, you're going up for your next one. You're going up for next contract. I hope to God that the contractor said, you know what, you work really good, and they want to keep you on here a little longer. Even then, you still feel unstable because there's no guarantee you're going to stay on staff. So that is one of the things you can mention. I wanted to touch on the exploitation part of the tourism side of things. Okay. That is when we want young people now, right? We want young people now because when tourists come, you want to see young faces. You want people that are tolerant to them. You want people that be willing to work because you know get work and so on. So that is it seems like that is the time when you start to look into young people and employment, right? The problem we face with this tourism aspect is that it comes at certain times of the year. It's not all year round. So that's the first flaw. And I mean, yes, we could go back to Caribbean studies and realize that yes, it's the culture because it, plantation days and crop over and so on, and that's how our tourism lives, right? But I think that we need to start thinking about what else can we do for our young people. We can't just decide to call them on even it's tourist time, but that means they starve if tourism dies. So that's something to really think about. I just think it's so exploitative to call the young people only at one particular time. When you have, as Pedro just mentioned, people studying for years in various institutions, getting the highest level of qualification and even competency. So you know that you just went to school and get theory and all. And even if you have that theory, why don't we award them or afford them the chance to practice? Why don't we give them a chance? Why is it only that somebody from overseas always just seems more valuable? Does this date back to slavery? Does it goes back to colonial times that all people that come from overseas are valued? That needs to be looked into. What is the reason for you to go to university? University is one of the most respected institutions in Barbados, and I can even say this forum. We have people that fly from the various Caribbean islands and even continents to come here to gain education. Our country has the chance, the affordability and chance to be able to go and learn this same information. So why is it that people that come overseas seem more competent than us? I really think that needs to be looked into, and they find it extremely exploitative. When people could just say, okay, tourist time, so don't worry, we're not gonna get work. But what happens when tourism starts to decline? Because we all know they have an on date and a shut off date. What happens to our youth within that time, in the turns it off? I think that is what really needs to be looked into. And that is why young people like myself and young Democrats, we have candidates who are going to think about what is going on, who have solutions just to roll out when it comes to the mandates. We have solutions right to roll out. So just stay tuned. We have plans to fix majority of these problems and as much as we can.
Before I go to Shaquani, I want to actually expound on something else that you would have said, the 3 months contract.
Mm-hmm.
During the period of 2008 and 2018,
Mm-hmm.
our government would have appointed more people,
Mm-hmm.
would have appointed more people to the government service than probably any modern day government.
Mm-hmm.
You understand me? And this government now has moved away from the appointment, that appointment standard to this contract standard, which means you don't even have security of tenure.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, Shaquani.
So what they've done is that they're inflating the unemployment numbers. So there's no drop to 6%. They're boasting about that. But
Mhm.
reality is that there is underemployment.
A lot of
Heavy.
underemployment, heavy underemployment, and
While we on 3 months off.
and
But they're in the statistics.
but apparently they're not highlighting that in the
Oh, no, they're not going to.
They're not going to in the Governor of the Central Bank's report, right? But but I guess that's another topic for another day.
Oh yeah.
Shaquani, to you.
When I think about young people in the tourism industry, if there's, I guess, space for them. Well, a lot of young people go to Pomeranian. Most people, when they leave secondary school, or when they're at secondary school, want to do home economics. Everybody is want to be a home ec class. When they leave secondary school and they're thinking about furthering their education, a lot of those persons go on to be chefs, cooks, waitress staff. But what people don't really understand is that a lot of those industries, they aren't paid a lot. Like, I know people who are chefs at really high-end locations, and they would have trained, they went Pomeranian, they put in the work, they get paid $450 a week. That's it. That is it. The hours are long. Sometimes there's no overtime. And they are frustrated, they're drained, and they don't know what to do because this is their passion, but their passion don't pay them. I know people who will be waitress staff, and yes, the pay may not be good either, but they're at least getting an opportunity to get some tips. What happens that makes this situation worse is that in downtime, when it is not high tourist season, most of those locations let off staff until tourist season comes back. So they will say they're renovating or doing restructuring. Well, those workers will go. They can just magically find jobs somewhere else. So the issue is that even though we would constantly like to push tourism, it may not be the most sensible job to push younger people in now because it is not sustainable. One, the pay is not great. Two, half of the year, maybe 4 months out of the whole year, they don't have anything to do. And then it is not sustainable. How long do you think you can last in the industry where you're standing on your feet for like 7-8 hours straight or more to produce a product? It is not sustainable for your health. So we need to start looking outside of the box of areas where young people could still impact into the GDP of the government, but not using tourism.
Mm-hmm.
Tourism cannot be the only thing that would put food on a plates of Barbadians here. The government has too many ministers not to be able to come up with any ideas. I remember when they had that slogan that ended up being another country's slogan, and I was just like, so you paid all this money to come up with this? Like, I could have done this for $0. So the reality is that sometimes they pay people who are not Barbadians, who are not from here, more money because they think it's valued more because they're not from Barbados. Not giving our people from Barbados opportunities. A lot of young people want to work in industries. Like, a lady told me this last week. Her daughter is studying chemistry. So I asked her, so what's she going to do when she finished working at lab? She said, I don't know. She doesn't know either. She's not sure what kind of job she will get. I said, you know, she could also go into teaching. She said, my daughter does not want to teach. So in her mind, her daughter studied something she loved, but she cannot put this qualification into a job, you know. She cannot figure out what she's going to do with this qualification. I have so many people who went to school with me, who after they did CSEs, went back and did additional CSEs because when they left school, they realized what they were studying, they did not want to do. So many people changed industries. So what it showed me was that not every job you want to do maybe for you, or not every subject you want to do maybe for you, but the government needs to guide the country. If they want, okay, say we have industries that need more people, why not say, well, persons who sign up to these programs, you will get additional discounts. You will go into jobs. Like I knew people who went overseas on government scholarships, came back to Barbados and could not get a job. They wanted to give back to the government, but the government wouldn't hire them, even though they had vacant positions for the posts. 5-6 years later, the post is still vacant and they're still not hiring anybody, but they will say young people don't want to come back to the country and give back after studying on a government scholarship, which is not true. They do not hire people. They're not hiring anybody. Like I have people in my constituency who ask me how you get a job. And it's not that they do not understand how to fill out a CV. They do not understand the interview process. They just do not understand why they are not getting the jobs. And when they see some of the people who get the jobs, they're like, but how? They literally cannot understand how they got the jobs, and they didn't even get through the door to a secondary interview. I had a friend who's moving back to Barbados. She submitted her CV to a couple of places, and a lot of them were asking her like, how much money you were paid overseas. She said she felt uncomfortable disclosing, but she still did. But she told them, I'm not expecting the same amount of money. I just want something livable, a livable wage that I could afford to move back and live here at home. No response, nothing. But when they were asking her how much money she was working for, they were really into contacting her constantly. And it's to the point where she does not know what to do because she has a master's, she's looking to do a PhD, but she cannot find a job here willing to hire her or pay her based on her qualifications. And she's good in her field, but it just goes to show you we are asking young people to become more qualified for jobs that don't exist. They do not want to pay us for, or they got them for their friends. Like I know of people who would have, say, ran projects for people. And when it was time for payment, they tell the young person, you're too young for so much money. You imagine that? You imagine somebody telling you you're too young for so much money? After you slave away on their project, it is at the end, everybody is happy. And they told you you're too young to want so much money. After they agree that this is the payment that they will pay you, you know. People do not understand that it's an uphill battle when you work for people or you're in a profession where they don't expect a younger person to be holding the position. People always think that you don't know what you're doing. They always try to undermine you, or they always try to underpay you because they think you don't know what you're doing. It happens to me every single day. I can tell you almost 3 times out of the day somebody can tell me, oh, you know you can do it that way. Okay, that's fine. Thank you. I don't want to say because all of you are guys, but you know how the ladies will say mansplaining is like they're explaining the job to you even though you know it. Even though you know it. That is how young people feel when they go into the workforce. Yes, we know it. Yes, we do not have 10 years of experience. You know why? Because nobody would hire us, even though we had the first step to getting to the job. That's the real problem, you know. When you leave, you can't get no job. I know so many persons that when they graduated, they continue their jobs like at the supermarket, as cashiers, at locations, and they could not get work. Like I know a lady who was a nurse who funded her nursing degree from working at a supermarket. After she got her degree, she couldn't get a job. She applied everywhere. Couldn't get a job. Even though we did not have enough nurses at the hospital and we were importing nurses, they wouldn't hire her. So she literally could not get a job. You know how she ended up getting a job? They were looking for a person to answer the phone at one of the government facilities in the healthcare sector. And she went in, just answering the phone. And then they realized, oh, she was a nurse and they had opportunity for nurses. Mind you, they don't have enough nurses at the hospital and some of the clinics, but they didn't have any jobs for her when she was applying. That's just how it is. I don't know if it is an issue, because you know they like to blame accounts in the accounting department, or they do not understand that they need to hire more people, but it is extremely ridiculous with this cycle. Young people feel frustrated. That is why so many of them become entrepreneurs, which is, oh God, is another difficult step, another path for another night. But it is hard being young in a field where you may go, say you're a specialist. I have friends who are specialists in their industry, and maybe like 2 other people do it. And they found it extremely hard to get jobs because they were young. People didn't consider that. They started studying young, so maybe that's where they graduated young, They're just thinking, oh, you're too young to get this job. Are you too young? So we can't pay you so much money. Like, people literally tell us that. So they were like, okay, we have all this student debt. What are we supposed to do if you want to underpay us, but they ask us to do a million things? So I do respect a lot of the companies that hire young people, not for the mere fact that they want free labor, because she's already said that give back our thing. That is an opportunity for bare free labor without payment.
Exploitation.
I am grateful for the companies who actually pay student stipend, and because I tell them, like, okay, think about if it was your child. How are they going to get to work and buy lunch if you don't ever pay them any money, but you want them to do all this work every single day? It is ridiculous. So I think that the government really needs to put on their thinking caps, as our parents would say, and come up with initiative that can really impact this issue with the amount of people not working.
So it would be remiss of me, Pedro. You brought up Ashley Lashley. It would be remiss of me if I did not mention that Ashley Lashley is Hamilton Lashley's daughter. And yes, she is. And Mr. Lashley has, he was a stalwart in the Democratic Labour Party, and he's recently taken me on as a mentee, and we have that mentor-menteeship relationship. Sir, good night to you. I hope that you are well. We'll hear you soon, sir. So,
but you remember you asked me how you get young people into advocating. It starts like that. You imagine your child seeing you doing this, representing people every single day. They would want to represent. It may not be in the same way you as the parent would do it, but they found their own path. And she's a perfect example. Her father was known for representing the people. And every time you turn on your Instagram, I can guarantee she's going to pop on your feed representing the nation because she's fighting the climate crisis. So that is a form of advocating, and that is a form of how your child can be involved. So you may think, oh, politics is too political, because a lot of people say that. But pick up one topic that you think that would matter to your child and let them research on it, let them speak on it, and that is how you get them involved in politics and policy.
Yes, Pedro.
Yeah, no, I just want to feed off of Shaquani for a bit. It's actually funny because they made a note, and I thought Jamal just told me something about Paul Marine.
Yeah, you had it right already.
What I found, right, is that we normally do too much lip service, and we talk about policies and what we can do to actually make people feel a part of the system. Now, have any of you been to Paul Marine for lunch or anything like that recently?
Not recently.
Not recently.
In the past.
Right, in the past. Right. And if you go there, there's not much traffic. I still think that we're not operating in the current scheme of things and how we're going in society. Let me explain what I mean. The teaching modules programs at the Paul Marine Institute don't align, because I used to work in the hotel industry, right? Don't align with what is happening in the hotel industry right now.
It's not up to date on the standard.
So we need to actually improve on that. Tourism is supposed to be our business. Tourism is business,
Right.
and that school should be a full business module. So we should be marketing that school as a hotel, right? That's going to drive the Barbados economy. And while driving the Barbados economy, it is going to allow, we talk about opportunities for farmers and, and people in agriculture, etc. We should be using that as a hub for small farmers to bring their produce in. And if it is that they don't have a business plan or whatever to get because they may not have enough potatoes or enough okras, etc. But they can bring it, let's say, to agencies such as the BAS, and then BS acts as the conduit then to get these produce into the hotel. All right. So what is going to happen now is that when the students are there and actually going to school, they're actually getting a proper stipend to go to the institute, and when they leave there now, they're actually going into a actual hotel, etc., with proper experience, right? And government has to play a role.
Oh, yes.
And by that I mean, let's not take all the functions to the Wyndham Hotel or the Hilton Hotel. Let's take some of these functions to Paul Marine. If you're serious about the youth in this country, take the functions to Paul Marine. That is how you diversify. That is how you drive the youth activity, because it's not just the bartenders.
Mhm.
You mentioned the chefs.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's landscaping. It's maintenance, AC.
Mhm.
It's the whole works. It's
Mhm.
accounts. It's
Mhm.
marketing.
Mhm.
Let's get serious.
Mhm.
That's good. So,
I'm glad you said that. When I competed in World Skills, I remember persons who came like first place. They went, I think it was Dubai that year that they went to compete internationally. Some of the persons had issues competing because we were not privy to some of the technology the other countries had because Barbados didn't have it. Even currently, when students were participating in World Skills up to the last one, some of them did not have access to the barista machine. So when they go overseas to compete internationally, obviously they will fill that option because they didn't have access to that. So I'm glad that you talk about not equipping the schools with the most up-to-date technology, because that is one area where they can improve. But on that point, I also want to mention an institution who is on top of their game, Polytechnic. Like when I was at Polytechnic, oh my god, if our AC broke, we didn't call an AC technician, we call the yes, we call the what do you call it? We call the AC technician students.
Mhm.
The class came up there and fixed the ACs. If something was wrong with the plumbing, we called the students who were doing plumbing. We did not outsource projects because we had persons on the compound who were looking for things to fix. And with that, it developed a network. Because even now, like I can call some of those persons, they fix cars. If any equipment that I had in my salon at that time broke down, I can call them to fix it. Like you created a network of skilled persons that you could contact, you know that they're capable. That is why so many students, when they leave Polytechnic, they end up continuing in that job for long periods because the internships are solid. Like you work in the industry, they don't just let you come and just stand up and pretend like you're not doing anything. I remember when I did my internship, I was I was praying. I asked my coordinator, please send me to a salon that does nails. I do not want to do hair. I said that.
Mhm.
And I was able to be partnered with a location that did mainly nails, and I loved it. And I remember when I got my stipend. Oh God, my stipend was $50 a week. My uncle told me it was cheaper for you to stop home because that was not enough to cover bus fare. He was telling the truth. That was the honest reality. But I told him if I had to pay to go to class to learn all of these things, I couldn't afford the class. The information was so valuable, and for me, I made sure I was late twice to work ever. Because after I did my internship, I was hired. But what it taught me was that when you have people who are willing to give you an opportunity, you soak up all the information that they can give you. I remember when I went there, it used to take me 4 hours to do a pedicure because that is how we train and practice at school. Because we were utilizing City and Girls, and that was from like the 90s. And when I went Polytechnic, that was in like 2014. So imagine you're still using a qualification from so many years ago. A lot of the stuff were outdated. Like they had one thing on it that we couldn't even source it because they didn't produce it anymore. That's how old it was. And they never updated it. So I'm glad that Pedro brought up improving the equipment so the students can produce at the standard that they feel that they're going into is producing currently. Because when you have students practicing on old equipment, when they're going to actually get jobs, they can't use the new equipment. Because when I did CXC, I had a book from 1988 to do accounts. When I went to the accounts CXC exam, all the terms were updated. So it was like everybody in the room looked around at each other like, okay, clearly somebody had an updated book and we did not get it. So for me, it was extremely frustrating to think that I was at school so long and we were still using a book from in the 90s that was outdated. And it put us at a disadvantage. So if persons were going to get ones, we didn't get ones. A lot of people, well, yes, we did pass, but a lot of people could have done better if we had privy to some of the updated information. Because in the exam, we had to try to figure out what the new terms were. We didn't know the new terms because we were using an old textbook that maybe my grandparent possibly would have used. So the reality is that if you want to say you want to produce at a high standard, you need to give them access to the best equipment. And if you're not doing that, you're putting them at a disadvantage when they go into the workforce.
Ladies and gentlemen, what can I say other than this was a very, very, very good discussion on youth. And I'm at a loss for words when people say that this party doesn't have quality. You see quality. I am so proud to be a part of this party. I'm at a loss for words. Shaquani, thank you very much for coming. Pedro,
Thank you for
very
having
much
me.
for coming. Jamal, thank you very much for coming.
Appreciate
See you, Damien, at Tavi on the Bay. Ignite weekend.
Oh yeah,
Democratic Party
yes,
youth in action.
I'm going to be there all 3
Seats
days.
are moving.
Seats are moving.
Yeah.
Take charge. We have some
Yeah.
announcements
Yeah.
here regarding that. Anybody want to do my job for me? And
No, you can go ahead.
They need to make it bigger so that we can read it out. Those are the activities for the Independence weekend for the party. Oh wait, no, this is Young Democrats.
Right, I think we can go through the entire month.
Oh, okay, the
Yeah.
entire month. So we started with the Young Democrats church service last week, Sunday. This weekend now we have the Youth Ignite meeting starting tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Savvy on the Bay. Take charge youth line. So remember, bring your money because drinks and food are on sale at Savvy on the Bay. But also bring your brains and your friends because it would be a very engaging conversation going on. Then moving on to Saturday, the 8th of November, also at Savvy on the Bay, you're going to be doing the National Youth Rally. Youth are already standing on business. It's starting at 5 p.m. So bring your questions, bring your notepads, take note because we will be answering your questions as the presenters present. And then on Sunday, November the 9th at 1 p.m., the National Youth Forum, Youth in Action. So we will have a lot of young people there speaking on the panel, talking about different pressing issues in Barbados, and we're inviting you to come out. All 3 of these activities are at Savvy on the Bay. Sunday evening, November the 9th, we have a spot meeting Christchurch East at Buffy's Bar in H. Marlow, starting at 5:30. So after you spend the whole weekend with the Young Democrats at Savvy on the Bay, then we want you to take a bus because we move in with seats and head to Buffy's Bar at H. Marlow. Then we're now going to go on to the rest of the activities for the month.
Right, if I may, before you continue.
Yeah, of course.
That meeting at Christchurch East, the speakers will be Amoy Gildenborn, candidate for Christchurch East. It will also be Felicia Dujon, spokesperson on education, myself, Andrew Cave, candidate for Christchurch West, Dr. David Eswick, candidate for St. Philip West, and Ralph Thorne, president and leader of the opposition party. Those will be the speakers at the spot meeting at Christchurch East, spot meet in Chimano, Christchurch, Buffy's Bar. I believe that's starting at 5:30 p.m. November 9th.
Yeah.
All right, so
the rest of the activities for the month of November, we're going to start. I'm just waiting for it to come out on the screen. We're going to continue on the 16th of November at 6 p.m. St. Michael North spot meeting. Starting at 6 p.m. and that will be located at Patience Drive, Eden Lodge, St. Michael. So we want you to come out, put that date in your calendar, the 16th of November at 6 p.m. St. Michael North, and come out and support.
The speakers at the St. Michael North will be Marie
Armstrong, the candidate for St. Michael North. There will be Pedro Greaves, the candidate for St. James South. Also speaking would be Ryan Walters, the candidate for St. Michael Northwest. Jamal Sandiford will also be speaking, the candidate for St. Michael Northeast. James Paul will also be speaking there. And we cannot forget our political leader, the Honorable Ralph Thorne, will be speaking at that meeting as well. The next activity we have is on... The next activities will be beginning from the 24th of November to the 28th of November online, and these will be Independence presentations by Mr. Ronald Jones, daily online broadcast. So put those dates in your calendar and look out for the daily broadcast. Friday, the 28th of November at 1 p.m., there will be a panel discussion by the Young Democrats at George Street Auditorium in St. Michael. So the public is always saying they want to hear from the youth, and November we're bringing out all the youth to do all of these activities. So you're going to be hearing from a whole set of us. The next activities, we're just waiting for it to come on the screen so we can go through them together.
Excellent.
Right, just give us a minute. Right, the next activity would be on the 29th of November at 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Cocktails will start, and then at 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. the gala. This is a formal fundraiser Independence Gala and Dinner at the George Street Auditorium. So if you're not sure, you know now it's at the 29th of November, and get your outfits. So anybody who has to order online from Shane, put in the orders now because you will need it. The gala will be starting from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. for your cocktails, and then from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. food would be served. The tickets for this activity is $125 Barbados, so you can call George Street to get your tickets. We will put out and send out the invitation so you can also see the other persons you can contact to ask about reservations for your tickets. And remember, the price is $125. So everybody tell a friend and we will have the auditorium full. On Sunday, the 30th November at 8:45 a.m. a church service at St. George Parish Church. Next, coming up, the 1st of December, that is a Monday at 11 a.m. Coming home from Independence, the Lime at George Street Auditorium, St. Michael. As you can see, we have started. Our seats are moving, and the party is building momentum coming up to the upcoming election. And we're asking you to come out and support these activities. And how you can do that is you can like our pages, follow us on Instagram, follow us on YouTube for the updates. Also, we need you to support the Independence Gala and Dinner. It is $125. So if you're not sure, you can call the office and follow on the ticket prices and how you can get a ticket.
With that said, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Again, thank the panelists for coming. Very, very, very great discussion on youth on the move. Ladies and gentlemen, good night and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Seats are moving, one DLP. Seats are moving, seats are moving, seats are moving, seats are moving, one DLP. Seats are moving, seats are moving. Yellow is the code, determination the mode. Young thems rise up, we carrying below. Future in we hands, Barbados we see. Seats and moving, jump on the DLP. Seats are moving, yeah we push the bus. One DLP, moving on with us. Together Lift your hands, Barbados. It's a new season, a new day. Together we rise, one people, one hope, one DLP. We've been through trials, we've been through pain, but hope is rising like the morning rain. Voices of the people, strong and true, a brighter tomorrow